For a couple of hours out of the whole year, we are the people that we always hoped we would be.
Ho, 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 fangirls and fanboys. Episode 45 Electric Fancave and ElectricFeast.com coming at you with myself, Corrigan Vaughn, and my pal, Kristin Latterell. The holiday season is upon us at last, and we hope you're gearing up for some good times. Today, we can't help but discuss those Sony leaks in which we learned Channing Tatum sends great emails, some of the other Sony execs send terrible emails, and Alex Trebek has zero patience for controlling stage moms. Plus, there's another addition to the Suicide Squad cast. We watch two brothers get scolded on C-SPAN, Ian McKellen teaches Cookie Monster a lesson, Mindy Kaling Instagrams the best possible thing she could Instagram, and we discuss some really strange Christmas songs. 'Tis the season to get nerdy. How's it going, Kristin?
It's going pretty good, Corey. How are you?
Not bad. I like your hair.
Thank you. Yes, I got my hair cut on Friday.
You had a million feet of hair before.
I did. She cut. Well, and the thing is, it never seems like it's that. Like, I knew it was long because it was bothering me, and I felt like I was wearing a blanket on my body at all times.
That's a good sign that it's a little too long.
Right. So it felt long. So I was like, oh, I'll go get it cut. And so I went. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And then I got there, and I was just like over it all day. And I'm like, just chop it. And she's like, okay. And next thing you know, there's like 10 inches of hair lying on the ground. And she's like, oh, I'm cutting 10 inches. I'm like, there's no way I had that much hair.
And you still have so much left.
I know. And this is even shorter than I initially thought she was going to go with it.
That's
and
crazy.
So, yeah. And so it's even like that short. And then people are like, oh, did you donate it? And I'm like, I didn't know it was going to be that long.
I didn't know I had enough to do that.
I'm not kidding you. Everybody has asked me that. So now I feel like a terrible human because I didn't donate my hair. So I'm sorry, people that I'm supposed to donate hair to. I should have, but I didn't honestly didn't even think about it because I'm like, well, it's not that long, whatever.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, did you donate it? But there we go. Now I know.
See?
You're just
I
a
did
bad
it.
person.
I'm a horrible human.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that like why you white people cut your hair, is to donate it to people?
Apparently, and I've never done it because literally every time I go in, it's like a very knee-jerk reaction. Like I was going to go in and get my hair cut, but I didn't really know what I was going to do. And then I get there, I'm like, just hack it all off.
Right. Yeah.
So
I've done that before, where just to like go in and be like, hack it off. It's just, this is not exactly like the market of hair that people are looking for.
Well, and it's sad because I feel like my hair probably really is.
Yeah, yours is probably more
like super thick, and like it obviously was very long. So, and it's I don't color it, so it's like virgin hair. It's long, so I probably was a really great candidate for it. So I'm really sorry, Locks of Love. I failed you in the Christmas season.
You could just go full pixie, and you could take all that off, and that's still probably enough.
I couldn't do it.
I have trouble imagining that. I don't.
That would just. I'm not comfortable with them shaving anything. I mean, they like razor the back of your head. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I guess that's
one time
true.
I got an A-line cut, and it was miserable trying to grow that out. It looked like I had a duck tail when I was trying to like get that to be longer. It was terrible. So, but the only thing was short, and so my whole thing's been like, short hair, don't care, whatever. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Except that in the morning, when it was long, I can just blow dry it and go. Or not even blow dry it and just go. But it's like, I have to, like, style it now. So I have to, like, dry it and put, like, stuff in it. And then, like, curl it on. And I'm like, ugh.
No, this effort
Struggle is real, people.
Why do you think I wear these things all the time?
Should get more
I
headbands.
always love the uncouth things people will ask you in public. And so many times, people have asked me if I'm Arab. As a result, I'm like...
Ay.
You can't just go around asking people why they're white. Like, really, like, who just like asks people, like strangers, like, are you Arab? And then I'm like, it's not covering like enough to be any form of religious statement or anything like that. It's clearly just like, I don't do my hair. I
mean, do they ask like those girls that wear the like bohemian ones? Like,
yeah, right.
Oh, are you Arab? Yeah. They're probably like, no, I'm just.
No. You're a
hippie. Wash my hair for 7 days.
Right, exactly.
Not saying that you don't do that. I'm just saying.
But
I didn't mean to say anyway. Whatever.
That's fine. No, but I don't ever style it, wash or not. It's like it's too much work. I've been considering cutting it all off, so you may see me rocking the.
Hey, short hair don't care. That's why I cut mine. A couple girls at my work had really long hair, and they cut it. I'm like, I'm gonna do that too. It's like so clean and fresh, and it's like, oh,
damn the man.
It feels so much better. It doesn't get stuck in my armpit when I like try to do stuff, which is nice.
And you use so much less conditioner
and so much less shampoo.
Yeah,
Well, the first time, though, I used still too much because I kind of forgot.
Yeah, it's like handful. And then,
F it, this is way too much shampoo. Like,
right? That's the first time I ever...
really hard to put it back into the bottle.
Yeah, that sounds futile.
It is, actually, because it just kind of goos everywhere.
Yeah, I think you should just kind of let it go. Like, that is, you've relinquished it, you've made a mistake, and move on with your life.
I should, but I'm kind of a miser, so I'm like, I should probably put this back in the bottle. Conditioner's even worse. Forget about conditioner trying to put back in the bottle.
Yeah, it doesn't go back in. I've had that problem at camp. This is a ridiculous conversation we're having, and like all the men listening to this are probably like, what in the world? I was watching Today's Show the other day, because I usually put on something like that while I'm getting ready in the morning, just like to feel like there are people in the world who are awake and whatnot.
So you don't feel quite so alone.
Right? Like, because otherwise I'm like, why am I awake right now? Like, this is sleep time that I am missing out on, and everyone else knows this. But this was late, because I think, like, so Hoda and Kathie Lee are like the fourth hour. Kristin, can we just be real for a second? We're kind of the geek Hoda and Kathie Lee.
No, we're not.
We are, though.
We are nowhere near as obnoxious as Hoda and Kathie Lee. And we're nowhere near as drunk as Hoda and Kathie Lee are.
No, that's true. Especially not at that
inappropriate time of day, mind.
At that time of day. I was just, and maybe it was because I don't normally watch them. I'm usually out of the house by the time their hour has hit there. So I usually see like the earlier, like kind of news stuff and things on Today. So maybe it was just the episode that I was watching, but they were basically kind of fangirling out over something or another. And they were getting really excited and talking over each other and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God.
This kind of sounds like us.
This sounds like me and Kristin. And we've got this sort of like ambiguously brown woman and a white woman.
A clearly white person.
Yeah, geeking out about something. And, you know, I was just like, I don't know. I think we might be a little bit Kathie Lee and Hoda. Like, just
and we just spent the first 10 minutes talking about my hair.
Right, exactly. I'm like, this is pretty... that was a total Hoda and Kathie Lee move.
You know what, I'm going to keep all my answers very short. It's serious now.
This is going to be a 10-minute podcast. Ha, psych, that's not a thing. There's no way.
Yeah, right. The second we get to JGL and Christmas, I'm like, oh my God, did you hear about it? It's the cutest thing in the whole world.
Why don't we start with that? Just
okay.
Because it's glorious.
You guys. So I think we've already gushed multiple times about Mindy Kaling's Instagram on our show. Yeah. Because her game is on point. Sometimes it's kind of boring. She posts like pictures of her nails or like her clothes, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to afford.
Yeah, I actually kind of like them though. It's like food porn or things like that. Like I'm probably never going to
have that, but it's true. Yeah. Anyway, she always is. I mean, majority of her pictures are like either on the set of Mindy or, I mean, pretty much her only friends work on that show. Like her life kind of revolves around
right.
And so anyway, so she posted this picture that was clearly like a screen. Like she took a picture of like a screen, black and white, of Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Chris Messina in like old school like Fred Astaire type suits dancing.
Like full on classic tap dancing.
I mean, yeah, like
black
this
and
is
white
like Singing in the Rain. I mean, I know Fred Astaire wasn't in Singing in the Rain, so sorry. That was bad usage. But anyway.
Which one is in Singing in the Rain?
The other guy that dances.
You continue your thought, and I'm going to Google this and that.
So they're dancing.
Oh, wait, it's Gene Kelly, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it was the other one.
I mean, I can't prove that yet. It hasn't come up on Google, but I think that's... Yes, it's Gene Kelly. Yeah.
Anyway, and they're dancing, but there's like really no explanation as to what it was. I feel like her explanation was like, oh, this is amazing. Or
yeah, like, she says something about it being like a dream or like, or it is a dream.
Very nondescript. And we're like... I have to know what's happening. And so, of course, I Google it. And, of course, Google only spits out a Tumblr page of someone who posted the exact same picture saying, what is happening here? And I'm like, Google, you are failing me right now. I need to know what's happening in this picture. Because if this is an episode, oh, my gosh.
Like, having Lee Pace and Joseph Gordon-Levitt on this, like... It's too much. It's too much. I can't...
And, like, let's not forget Charlie, okay? I'm still trying to get over that trauma. So,
Charlie!
How can we go from Charlie... to the adorableness right now that is Mindy and Danny. And now we're also having Lee Pace guest star and JGL.
And potentially JGL. Oh,
you guys.
Man.
Literally, my heart cannot handle all of the feels that are going to happen.
Yep. This is...
Like, what's happening? Like, what is this? Is it a dream sequence? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know. And my thing is, I'm like, maybe it's not from any project. Maybe she's on set, like, because she's friends with them and watching something else get filmed. Like, but something is going to happen that hopefully we get to see with them. But this is just, oh my gosh. Mindy Project is just the best. And, I can't.
It's going to be marvelous. And it's funny because it's like a blurry picture. And so I think I even tagged Corey in it, I think, on Instagram. And I was like, oh my gosh. Is that who I think it is? And then if you scroll down like 3 more pictures, like earlier she had posted one that actually, you could totally tell it was him. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Just great because I just get like the Instagram tags or whatever. So I see the first one saying like, is this Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Chris Messina? And then like the one later, holy crap, it is. Oh my gosh.
So stay tuned for when we find out and our heads actually do physically explode.
Yeah, basically. So, and we just had the mid-season finale for Mindy, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Can we talk about the Ken Burns cameo that happened? I about lost my ever-loving mind.
I was trying to place which one was the mid-season finale, and that's right. The Ken Burns. Oh.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
That made me so happy. Because obviously, this is one thing. I actually don't think we've talked about this before, but that Kristin and I are kind of Ken Burns fangirls in many ways.
It's true. I own the Civil War on DVD, and I have the soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, the soundtrack is amazing.
Of course it is.
And I also, like, my recent favorite is Prohibition. Prohibition.
Oh my gosh, fantastic. Prohibition is so good,
I have stickers.
You guys.
I have a set of stickers from Prohibition.
Prohibition is excellent. Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, if you haven't seen
that
it,
era is just so fascinating.
Right.
Oh, and Dust Bowl. If you want to weep, like a little child, Dust Bowl.
That's the one.
Oh, which was great because have you seen Interstellar?
Not yet. No. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
We'll revisit this. It's just it's 3 hours long, Kristin. You know how I am about movies.
I know it is, but this is hard to explain. So yes, it feels 3 hours long when you're watching it, but it doesn't. I don't feel
it's
like
not
it drags.
Dragging 3 hours.
No. Yeah. So it's like and really when you're in the movie and you kind of know what's going on, there's like a reason that they made it 3 hours.
Yeah. It's
because I thought the same thing. I'm like, I always have to pee when it's a 3 hour movie. Like super worried about it. It's a weird thing to say.
No, I'm worried about it.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
stressful.
But it's I don't know. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think I will like it. It's just psyching myself into like being able to sit down for 3 hours because peeing is definitely an issue. It's like how slowly do I have to drink my icy to make it through 3 hours of movie, you know?
Yeah. It's just,
I'm
so
such a
good.
multitasker.
And there's lots of feelings happening in it. At one point
we knew there'd be feels.
I cried at hard at multiple points in this film, you guys.
So I'm gonna be a mess.
But I'm also very emotional when it comes to movies, and I'm very vocal. I'm pretty sure the people around me hate me, and my friends that I went with also hate me because I constantly hit people. My one friend who I went with,
she punches.
I do. I punch people, not softly either. And one of my friend that I was sitting with, and he's obsessed with it. He's seen it 5 times.
Oh wow.
That's
15 hours. Is that the right math? 5 times 3?
Yeah.
15 hours of your life.
I hit him hard in the shoulder, and I was like, why the hell did you make me watch this movie? I was like, I'm pissed at you right now because I was just finished another crying bout of so many emotions. And then comes this other part. I'm like, just tell me what happens. I just need to know. I cannot get through this next 3 minutes. And he's like, I'm like, so then my other friend had also, so basically it was the newbie. My other friend had also seen it. So I turned to her and I'm like, what happens? And she's like, I'm like, just tell me. I need to. But anyway, it was good.
Yeah.
That was a really long sidetrack. Ken Burns is what we were talking about.
But we were talking about, how do we get to Interstellar 2?
Because it tied into the Ken Burns discussion, but you haven't seen it, so never mind. I don't want to.
And the only, I was trying to think, I was like, I feel like I was going to say, but it wasn't that important. I was just going to say the only Ken Burns that I can think of that I don't actually super like is the National Parks one. It was kind of boring.
Oh, yeah, I didn't watch that one because it sounded kind of boring.
It was. I thought I was going to be super interested. I mean, I live by Muir Woods, Mr. and John Muir, and all this kind of stuff, and then it was...
they're kind of just establishing parks. Doesn't seem to be a lot of conflict.
There is actually a lot of conflict around it. I mean, as you can imagine, with like all kinds of expansion and people wanting to develop these lands, and stuff like that. So it's like political.
Yeah, not like I want to say fun conflict, but not like interesting.
It's not like gangsters and illegal
or
speakeasies.
Like it's more just like people being greedy instead of like. I mean, if you think, okay, I'm like thinking prohibition, like, okay, this like affected people's livelihoods, and it goes into like the fabric of like of America and like just the culture that we had here, where it's like national park is just people pissed because they can't build a house, and or whatever. That was obviously simplifying.
It's kind of a first world problems sort of documentary series,
you know. So I'm kind of like, I don't know.
That's a good
point.
And
I still have anyway.
Yeah, all that to say, it was wonderful to see Ken Burns on Mindy, and the whole like storyline with Morgan and the what was the girl? It's Julia Stiles, right? Yeah. Where he is basically impersonating Peter because this woman comes in and thinks he's Peter, and she's like a hoarder, and he's Morgan, so he has all of his issues, and they end up having a perfect sort of weird relationship. And that might have been I always have a million favorite parts, but that might have been my favorite part of that whole episode was their relationship.
Yeah.
It was perfect. So we're super looking forward to whatever is going to happen with this Joseph Gordon-Levitt thing. And hopefully it wasn't just them fooling around, you know, and it's never going to go anywhere, because we'll be really sad.
I would cry.
Yeah, I would cry as well. Let's talk a little bit about these Sony leaks, and you reminded me of something as well. There's so much that comes out of it. We have multiple things to talk about.
Yeah.
There's this huge breach of Sony that leaked both several movies that had not been released yet, and one that was in theaters. What was the one that was still in theaters that leaked? I can't remember what it was.
I don't know.
But anyway, it leaked.
I'm honestly not following it that closely.
Right.
I just kind of watched anyway.
But you can't help but like come across it because so much stuff is coming out of this.
True. So I'm only getting bits. I don't know everything that's going on with it.
And then it also leaked a bunch of internal emails from Sony. And this is basically supposedly like a North Korean terrorist attack on Sony, essentially.
Right.
And a lot of this centers around the film The Interview with Seth Rogen and my nemesis, James Franco. And so, I mean, there's a lot of debate about sort of the ethics of even reporting on anything in this. There's comparisons to sort of the nude photo hacks. There's a professor at my school who worked for Sony, and so his like social security and stuff have been compromised by these leaks and stuff like that. So there's all these sort of ethical questions and things like that. But at the same time, there's stuff that's come out of this that is like amazing or enlightening or like all these different things. The downside one is that we realize how, like, racist and awful the high-ups at Sony are. Like, they have all these conversations about, well, for one thing, Barack Obama and what kind of movies they think that he'd be into that are all stereotypical black movies. They think he'd be into Kevin Hart and all this. And they're just casually talking about this. And you're like, what? Is it 1960? How do you even, like, can you imagine? This is my thing. When, like, racist people get together, people who are probably ostensibly supposed to be, like, liberal or progressive people and things like that, who wouldn't consider themselves to have a racist bone in their body. Like, how do you start talking to someone in racist terms like that? Like, if I were to send you an email and just, like, be like, oh, haha, here's a funny racist thing to hip up Barack Obama, and expect you not to write back and be like, squeeze me?
You want to try that one more time?
Yeah. What'd you just say? That was inappropriate. But somehow this back and forth happens. And then we also see this crazy bananas conversation unfold about Angelina Jolie and making the Cleopatra movie versus the new Steve Jobs movie, not the Ashton Kutcher one. And this is a cluster. Did you read that whole thing?
I did, because I did. Yeah, it was pretty bad, you guys. I mean, they are just like calling her names, and she's just a talentless, spoiled hack. Yeah. She's all this stuff. If you don't watch out, she's gonna just come in and take this from you. Like all these crazy things, and it was. They're like, I mean, and maybe they should have learned their lesson. And frankly, I'm not really excited about either of those movies, so I'm not super invested in either of them being made.
Not at all.
But it was just like off. I mean,
this is really personal business.
Yeah, and it's like almost, and it was more, and it wasn't so a lot of it was professional, but it also was very like her as like a person, like her being spoiled and terrible human. I'm like, okay, well, it's debatable.
Especially from it's like we don't know her, but I mean, like, calm down, right?
Yeah,
like
so
especially from
it's crazy. And then there's a picture that came out of her meeting with Amy Pascal, who was in. So I guess what happened is Amy wasn't the one that was calling her those things, but the emails were addressed to her. And it's similar to what you just said. She didn't write back and was like, "Hey, now let's," didn't try to defend her, and kind of went along with it. And granted, it's like one picture. It could be very out of, I don't know what's happening in it, but like the look that Angelina has on her face, and Amy's like kind of touching her arm, like I don't know if she's trying to hug her. I'm like, I'd probably just no touching involved here, but trying to do something, and Angie is like
not having it,
and I'm like, oh, so awkward. I can feel the awkwardness from here, and it's not even a video; it's just a picture.
Right.
Which is like,
and over the course of this like set of email conversations too, you see Scott Rudin, I think that's his name, and Amy Pascal like fall out after what like he keeps bringing up is like a 20 or 30 year friendship or whatever. That there's like, we are done over this, because Amy is trying to sort of like, in a sense, talk him off the ledge. She's not really defending Angelina Jolie per se, but more being like, listen, this is like where the money is, and this is how I want to produce this. And he is just like, no, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of her. I'm at a point in my career where I don't want to have to deal with this BS anymore, and just goes off. And like at one point says something to her that then like she responds, she's like, don't threaten me. And it's so insane to see like in a professional setting like this that go down. It's just also my other favorite part of this whole email exchange was that they're having this very serious heated conversation, and Amy Pascal's autocorrect keeps changing the F word to ducking throughout this thing. So it's just like she keeps saying this throughout this ducking, this, you don't do ducking, do that. And I'm like, oh boy. But yeah, the whole thing is just crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So there's lots of really terrible things that are.
And I suppose
I feel like every day there's a new story where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is still happening. There's still more.
And so maybe we go towards more of the ambivalent part of it being the interview now is not going to be shown by like AMC, like basically any of the big Regal, any of the big chains, because of these threats of like terrorism as a result, and as in like physical terrorism as opposed to just more leaks or things like that, but that there were threats of like basically like on the premiere like a 9/11 type attack, right?
Bombing. They're essentially I mean they were gonna like blow up theaters full of people. Or allegedly.
And
I mean, obviously.
Here's my thing, and I don't know if you've seen this, Kristin, but a lot of people are sort of attacking Sony, attacking these distributors, all this kind of stuff for like backing down and basically for cowardice over this. And I understand to a certain extent why people are like, we need to like, stand up to this or whatever. But it feels very much like that if you do X, the terrorists win argument from 15 years ago, like just doing where I think if you were to think about this through these companies, they're not political entities, they're not the government. They have to really consider, is it worth it to put potentially their consumers in danger in order to put this movie out, right? To make a statement about, not negotiating with terrorists or things like that. I understand why they would want to sort of back away from that. I mean, not just their consumer too, but also even with the threat of more hacks or things like that, they're also protecting people within their company, themselves. I don't know. I just don't see it as like as black and white as people are painting it to be.
No, and I wouldn't put it on the same level as. I mean, I'm trying to think of like a political situation where I can't even think of one right now. Yeah,
but it's like it's a comedy.
It's a movie. And granted, it looks awful. And when I saw that was even going to be a thing, I was like, well, I'm not seeing this. It looks stupid. So it wasn't even something I wanted to see. Yeah. Even if it was, like, and just, okay.
Yeah.
It's a movie, guys. Like, I honestly think that if they were going to go through with this, theaters full. I mean, do we remember what happened when Batman screened and that one guy got set loose and he killed a ton of people? And I still think, I mean, there's still like scarring from that. People going to midnight. I mean, there's still comes up in the news, and that was like a one guy incident in Podunk, Colorado. Mm-hmm. Whereas like,
so now imagine someone had told us ahead of time it was going to happen, and we decided to just do this anyway.
Yeah. You know? So it's like they're clearly telling us they're doing it. I don't know how, like, what kind of whatever. Like intelligence. So you're getting a warning, and then they go through with it, and then they blow up theaters, and then you're like, you knew you could have not released it. Like, you know? So I just, and I'm like, and you're right. I'm like, it's a movie.
Yeah. What hill do you want to die on? Do you want it to be the James Franco, Seth Rogen hill? Really? Yeah. Like, that's what we're going to choose to be the site of our war on terrorism and our standing up to terrorists? I don't feel like theaters or distributors have an obligation as some sort of great bastion of anti-censorship and First Amendment whatever to make a stand on this, you know? Like, I understand people's frustration with it and why they would want the theaters to, but I don't think it's as simple. And I think that narrative of, if we do this, the terrorists win, is just, ultimately, it's a silly political thing to say that gets people to do things that aren't necessarily in their best interests. Mm-hmm. You know? So whether or not North Korea and whoever are actually going to blow up theaters is debatable. They probably wouldn't. Chances are this is an empty threat, but how do we weigh those risks, and, you know, how do we then deal with it? And I'm not going to hold that against theaters for deciding not to. And there's going to be those independent theaters and stuff like that will play it, and there's going to be that group of people who are like, yeah, I'm going out and I'm fighting this, you know, and that's cool for them. Do it. You know? That's how I feel about it, but I think that should be a choice.
Yeah.
But some fun things came out of these leaks as well.
There is. So, I think the best one we can probably agree is, I think almost the tagline of the article that our friend Hugh posted on Facebook was pretty much the best thing ever. So it was like, the title of the article was, Channing Tatum writes emails just as you thought Channing Tatum would write emails. And you're like, okay, so I'm going to click on that. And I've never actually thought about how he writes emails, but now I am. Yeah. So you click on it, and it's right after 22 Jump Street had come out, and it was like, just blown everything out of the water. Had just done super well. And Channing Tatum writes this email that's like in all caps. And like the first paragraph is just like, yeah, F that. Like, we're so effing awesome. Just like this amazing thing. And then for probably like 12 inches, he just writes, ha 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 ha. I mean, just all caps.
All caps.
It's funny because I'm like, oh, this is funny. I'm scrolling, and it's like now, mind you, on my laptop, I get to the point where the only text on the screen is the laughter. I'm like, for a while, that is the case. And you just keep scrolling, and he's just still laughing,
still going.
I mean,
it's amazing.
It's pretty much the most amazing thing you've ever seen. So.
And had I considered how I thought Channing Tatum would email, they're right. That probably is exactly.
They are exactly right. After they said that, I'm like, because you can kind of hear him being like, dude, this is, you know, like.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just.
You can fully, picture him composing that. Yeah. And probably giggling to himself. Probably. As he does it.
Totally. And you can like feel the giddiness. Yeah. Of like, his movie's doing so well, like clearly he's excited, and you can like you feel it almost. Like, it's almost as if he's like talking to you, like that's how excited it is. So it's really actually super entertaining.
Which is funny, because did you also see, and this was a weird misleading title, I thought, but there was another one that, it might have been on the same site, which was like Gawker or something like that. But it was like something about Paul Reiser writing the saddest email ever in it.
Oh, and I saw that, but I didn't click on it.
It was actually kind of adorable and enthusiastic, not quite in the same way that Channing Tatum's was, but it was like basically him emailing this guy at Sony and saying like, listen, you know, I've had people asking me about Mad About You. Why are only 3 seasons of it available? You know, I really love this show. A lot of people really love this show. And he's like, I remember the last time that I ran into you in an elevator at this thing, which was crazy, right? You know, he has like an aside that he was like, wasn't that crazy? And then he's like, I asked you why season 1 wasn't available on DVD, and you said, oh, it wasn't, and a month later, it was out. So I'm hoping that maybe we can have this happen again if I talk to you about it, you know? Yeah. And it was just this really precious email where he's like, basically like, this is a show that I was really passionate about. He's like, there's probably not like, because I guess it's hung up over like music rights. Which is the same thing with American Dreams and drives me crazy. But yeah, it's like hung up over music rights. And he's like, I feel like, it's been years. We should be able to resolve this because I love this so much. And there's clearly an audience. It was so precious. I don't know like why whatever website put this out thought it was like embarrassing and sad. Because just like the Channing Tatum email, I'm like, this is someone who just so sincerely is into their art. Which is what we, like, why do we want them to be cool about it?
Yeah, I want them to geek out and be cute or adorable or laugh hysterically for 17 pages of text.
It's like, that is what I want to think people are like who are producing these things or acting in these things, that they're so passionate about the project that like they can't help but express it. Their emails tell you everything about how they feel about it.
I mean, I want them to be on my level of excitement.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something that I really love. I was like, they clearly made this, so they clearly care somewhat about it.
Right. Hopefully it's not just like straight up moneymaker.
Yeah, I would hope not. So I guess maybe we're just idealists in that way, Corey.
Yeah. And we probably are. I'll admit, I imagine most creators of these things probably a lot of times aren't, especially people who've been in the industry a long time, they probably have lost some of that passion for what they do, and they're not putting things out necessarily to be as enthusiastic about them as we are. But it's nice to think and see people who are.
Right.
And that's what's so fun about this Channing Tatum one. And like the other thing that this then leads to also that was leaked is this email that Channing Tatum sends about wanting to team up with Chris Pratt to do Ghostbusters.
Right.
Oh my goodness. It's I mean, it's probably not going to be a thing.
No. Well, and here's the thing. So the article I read was very confusing because he was like, oh, wouldn't it be so awesome? Like totally pushing for it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking like, what? I thought they were making one with
you're already doing this.
Like, well, I thought we were doing that. So I don't know where he was in that conversation. If this is like, I don't know how old, even how old some people are. So was this like before that was a thing? Because the person who was writing the article about it was like, they could totally do both. I'm like, no,
you can't.
We need to pick one. The other one's already in the, like, I would love to see Chris Pratt and Channing Tatum. They should do something.
They should definitely do something.
Like, let's just, I mean, we don't need two side-by-side Ghostbuster movies.
Right. And I think my guess is probably that this, because the thing didn't say when the email was dated, right? So this could have been a year ago for all we know.
Right.
But it's funny because he's sort of promoting this as like, it would be like a really scary Ghostbusters, but also really funny. But he keeps on like saying, like really scary and really
just
funny.
Trying to make it like more serious than it really was, I guess.
And I'm like, I can get behind, it doesn't have to be Ghostbusters for that, like those two as a team and that kind of story to be awesome. Like if they did sort of a horror comedy that was genuinely scary, I mean, kind of like Cabin in the Woods, but maybe even more lighthearted. But, Cabin in the Woods was like really, it's genuinely a kind of a terrifying movie, but it's also super funny. And
I didn't see it. I don't really watch horror movies.
Oh, I thought just because, Joss Whedon, Fran Kranz, all that, I figured you would have seen that movie.
No.
Oh, Kristin, you should. Who was it that I forced to go see with that?
I spook easily.
Yeah.
Like, really easily. I mean, I can barely watch Criminal Minds by myself at home.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. You should be more afraid of Criminal Minds than Cabin in the Woods. Let's be real. That's if we're thinking about what might happen to you. But it must have been Brienne who I made see with me. And who is also not a horror movie person. Whoever went with me was simultaneously mad at me and pleased with me because they liked it, but it was terrifying and they didn't like horror movies. I think that's why I thought it was you. I was like, this feels like something Kristin would be really pissed at me for making her watch, but also would have been like, but I kind of loved it.
Yeah, do you still have feeling in your left arm?
Yeah, then it probably wasn't
me.
It wasn't you. That's a good point. But regardless, I think it would be kind of fun to see them do like a buddy movie that, I mean, the world would kind of explode. Can you imagine if there were a buddy movie, buddy comedy, whatever, with Channing Tatum and Chris Pratt? Like, who's the dumb one? Who's like who's the meathead? Who's the, like, this could really, I would actually kind of like to see Chris Pratt play the straight man.
Oh, totally.
Like, he's just like amazing. Deadpan, no sense of humor, like a Captain Holt type character. Did you see the 9-9 this week, by the way?
Yeah, I did. It was amazing.
God. Brooklyn
at the very beginning when he's like, oh, yes, well, thank you for giving me this commendation. And as she walks away, he goes,
lunchtime is over. Oh my God.
And it's so funny because like Jake and Rosa, like, who are you? Jake, right, who's usually the one that would totally throw it in your face, is like, both him and Rosa are like,
no.
It's like so embarrassed of him when like it's always the other way around. It was such a great reversal.
Yeah.
There's been 2 times where he's been very, remember he was smiling right before that and he was like, because I'm happy. And you're like, what's happening? So this episode was great. But then there was that other one they had, remember when Amy was late and Jake was like, we're taking Bess to see us while she's late. And he goes, I think she's lying at the bank. Like, all serious. We're like, that was really stupid. And then when she comes, he goes, hot dog! Like, or hot damn, or something, whatever he said.
My other favorite, like, Holt moment from this episode was when Rosa comes down the stairs with Nick Cannon, whatever his name is, Captain Holt's nephew, Marcus. And Kevin and Captain Holt are sitting at the breakfast table, and Captain Holt is just so... like, yeah, he can't wrap his head around what has just happened here and is so incredibly awkward. And everything about the way, like, this is what I love about that character and the way they develop the characters in this, is that even when, like Captain Holt and the lunchtime is over and all that kind of stuff, it never feels inconsistent with his character, even though he's super serious all the time or things like that. Like, it doesn't feel... like, that's not something his character would do, you know? Yeah. And that was what it was in this situation of, like, just intense awkwardness and his trying to, like, reconcile it and be okay with it, even though this is not okay.
Well, and his still trying to be, he's still trying to be so profeful about it. So he's like, Detective Rosa Diaz
is in my breakfast nook.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was... Oh, man. It was such a good Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Gold.
If you're behind on it, you should catch up.
Because it's amazing.
It's so good. This is like one show I never get behind on. So
yeah, me
and then
neither.
I just watch the episodes over and over again. That and Selfie. I watch every episode of Selfie like 8 times in a row. It's a problem. Kristin, the most recent Selfie has both Karen Gillan and John Cho singing separately. And there's so many feels. So many feels. Like this episode isn't even really funny per se. It's just a really good dramatic episode, and the whole, oh my God, I just like finished it, was like sobbing, and then was like, again, play it again. Just watch it again.
Play it again, Sam.
Play it again, Sam. Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, so Chris Pratt and Channing Tatum, Ghostbusters.
Chris Pratt, obviously, everything always comes back.
Everything comes back. We never get more lost in conversation than when it starts with Chris Pratt. The spiral just goes.
Very true. It's the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
it often happens to us.
But we do want to see some sort of movie. It's not going to be Ghostbusters, but some sort of movie with those two guys. Sure. For it. Totally for it. I have to cough.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
Okay. Sort of.
All right. And we're back.
Hey, everybody. It's the Electric Fan Cave. So, let's talk... is that... Oh, no, wait. There's one more Sony Leak thing.
Oh.
That I'd just like to address. And that is Alex Trebek not taking anyone's crap. This is great. Jeopardy Kids Week, as I said last week, I believe, is my least favorite week of the year.
Right. I said I like it because it makes me feel smart.
I'm an avid Jeopardy watcher. I watch almost every single day. If I'm home, I watch it. I don't have DVR or whatever, but I used to DVR it when I did. And so I look forward to it. Kids Week is sad for me because, unlike Kristin, I don't feel smart about it. I feel like I'm like, well, now I just feel like I'm being patronized. Like when I answer something correctly and then a 10-year-old does, I don't feel special anymore.
No, that's, I guess, well, when you put it like that.
Yeah.
I guess typically I like Teen Week because they always seem like they just kind of seem a little smug. And then they get you that one, like, not quite teen column,
Yeah.
it's like, not really going to know this because this is pop culture that's not really
that's
pop
just
culture
beyond
anymore.
you. Yeah, like
So
we were talking about like No Doubt before, or like the One Tree Hill.
It was a CW, like entire thing. And like, first of all, only 20-somethings watch CW. Here.
I know, that is not aimed at teenagers.
Teenagers are watching MTV and they're watching Werewolf, the Teen of the Wolves, or whatever.
Teen Wolf is great, actually, though.
So
that's basically a CW show.
True. They're not watching CW now.
No.
Okay. So that was like my favorite thing because they're like, oh, we're so good. I'll take CW for this, and they're just, I mean, it's like crickets. It's like they've never even heard of this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love it.
That would be. I would love to ask teenagers. This should be on like those YouTube reacting videos. The like teens react to One Tree Hill, Seventh Heaven, Gilmore Girls. Like, have you guys even heard of this stuff before? Like, is this in your lexicon at all? Are you wondering why all the 20-something, like your older sister and all of her friends are like super excited about Gilmore Girls being on Netflix? Like, everybody's freaking out.
On right now?
Everyone's freaking out. Where was it? Oh, but so on Kids Jeopardy, I guess, and I didn't watch it, but if you're unfamiliar with the rules of Jeopardy, if you go through the first and second round, and at the end of Double Jeopardy, the second round, you are in the red, you don't have any money, you can't keep playing because you have to wager your money in order to play Final Jeopardy. So if you don't have anything to wager, you lose. I guess this happened to this girl on the show that she hit the end of Double Jeopardy and had no money, and she just like stomped off stage. And I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently life didn't shut down. It kept moving, and Alex kept moving, and the show went on. And the mom was livid that this happened, that they just let her daughter stomp off crying instead of, I don't know, giving her a cookie and a stuffed animal or something and letting her play.
Yeah.
I don't know what the end game was here, but she caused a huge ruckus. And then Sony execs tried to basically get Alex to like re-record it and apologize. And his response is basically like, screw you. Like, sure, I'll re-record it if you want. But you know what? I've been here a long time. I've backed you guys up on all that stuff. You haven't backed me up. I'm not feeling backed up right here. Maybe it's time for me to move on. Mm-hmm. Just like, I don't want him to go. He should stay. But good for him for just being like, no, I'm not gonna like, he's like, I get so much criticism all the time. Really? You're just gonna like let this be a thing? We're gonna just bow down to some woman who's mad that her kid's not a special
We can't let
snowflake.
the terrorists win, you guys.
Yeah. If Alex Trebek re-records that, the terrorists win. Okay? Like, it's just, like, I guess, according to the article that was on Radar Online, the mom was upset that Alex didn't console the girl backstage.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I kind of think he would be a super awkward consoler.
Right? I don't want Alex Trebek consoling me. Like,
I would want like the nice PA that's probably like in college and broke and is like very nice.
Oh, honey.
Like, oh, it's okay. Like, here's a donut. Whereas like Alex would probably be like, there.
Right. And it's like, have you ever watched the show? The guy is known for like mocking people when they get the answer wrong and stuff like that. Like, why did you think it was going to be his job to come in
and console your kid?
Console your kid.
I don't know.
I don't understand that as a thing. But he says, here's exactly what he said was, if you all think I should retape the opening, I will. But I want to say that for 30 years, I've defended our show against attacks inside out, but it doesn't seem to operate both ways. When I'm vilified, corporate and certainly legal always seem to say, don't say anything, it'll blow over. And I'm not feeling support from the producers. And that disappoints the blank out of me, which is kind of awesome. Mm-hmm. I just like that's how Alex Trebek wrote an email. Good on you, Alex. Yeah, word. Team Trebek. Drop
Say
that.
Say hello to your mother for me.
So good. So yeah, that was another thing that came out of the Sony Leaks. That was exciting. Briefly, let's discuss first just the two adorable things, really. One being two brothers getting scolded on C-SPAN. The other being Ian McKellen. So let's talk about these brothers.
Yeah. So C-SPAN, guys, right? So boring. Let's be real. No one watches it. They have a Wall Street segment or something, whatever. They have these two brothers on who are on opposite political spectrums, and they're kind of arguing over issues, whatever, because it's one of those shows. And so they're like, no, we're going to take some callers. And so they're, they're arguing because they're arguing, I guess right before this, is that all families, like at Christmas and Thanksgiving and the holidays, have these like awkward political conversations because there's always opposite ends in families. And so everyone has these arguments. And so this lady calls in, and it's the guy on the left, I think, in the gray with the dark hair.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we're going to get Joey from Raleigh. And both the guys are like, oh, right, someone from the South, like, because they're from North Carolina. And this mom goes, she starts talking like, I just think that is wrong. Not all family. And the one guy goes, oh my God, it's mom. It's like mortified. And the other one's like, what? The mom proceeds to like say like, I wish you guys would stop fighting. I was glad you went to your in-laws for Thanksgiving so that we could have a break from you guys always yelling at each other. I really hope this show gets it out of your system so that when you come down for Christmas, you won't have to argue so much. And they're just like, okay, they're just like, the faces are just like, it's like their mom's yelling at them, which is what it is.
And the host is so amused by this. He's like, just so you know, we didn't set this up.
She called it on a regular line.
Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine. I want to know, like, because, they screen those before they go through. I'm like, what did she say? Did she say, I'm their mom, I need to talk to them? Or did she, like, come up with a question?
That was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then she's like, F that.
Yeah. So good. It's pretty genius. And they're just like, okay, well, we'll see you this weekend, Mom.
Yeah. I also like too, at the end of it, the sort of smug look the Democratic brother gets when the mom is like, really, my issue is about healthcare, blah, 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 blah. And it's like really supporting his view. And he just looks like,
He's like, yeah.
That's right.
I knew I was right the whole time.
Yeah. It's hilarious. We'll obviously link to that on the blog, but this is definitely amongst, if not the best thing to come out of C-SPAN, it's going to be close. Ever, yeah. I don't know. Did the guy throwing his shoe at the president come from C-SPAN?
No, I thought that was on a Islamic station.
What? No, the one, this was, maybe, actually, you're right.
Talking about when he threw it at President Bush?
Yeah, that might have been, yeah. I think I was confusing it, too, with, there's the shoe throwing incident, and then there was the you lie incident.
Oh, yeah, the you lie incident. No, yeah. The shoe throwing incident, I think he was in the Middle East when it happened, so it was probably their C-SPAN version, so I guess we could probably lump it together.
Yeah, exactly. All of those sort of boring, procedural-related bureaucracy things. Yeah, it was one of those. Oh,
I'm sorry. What? I fell asleep for a second.
Yeah. But the other adorable thing was Ian McKellen on Sesame Street. It reminded me of, was it Hiddles
Tom
who did
Hiddleston?
the delayed gratification one?
It was. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh my God. And then I was going to go watch the Tom Hiddleston one, but then you called me, so I didn't have time to watch it.
I'm so sorry. That was really inconvenient to me.
I know I talk about that one all the time, so I won't.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's trying to teach the cook. So Ian McKellen's trying to teach the Cookie Monster resist. Resist? I
was going to say, is it resist? Is that what it was?
And he doesn't do a very good job. He does. He eventually kind of gets in, but
yeah. And it's precious because it's just Ian McKellen.
He's got that voice.
Yeah. The voice is really what gets you in it,
Seriously, like he could read C-SPAN transcripts to me and I could fall asleep. Mm-hmm. Well, probably because it's so boring, but it would lull me in a nice way.
Like in a good way, not in a watching paint dry way.
Yeah.
And he's like wearing a t-shirt. He's like kind of casual, which casual Ian McKellen is amongst my favorite things.
Right.
I love.
He's always just so put together.
Yeah. And so, like, when you see pictures of him and Patrick Stewart around and they're, like, just dressed like, bros, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And so this whole thing is, him trying to resist by teaching Cookie how to not eat the cookie, to resist the cookie. And it's just adorable is all, and we think you should know about it. We
endorse cute things here.
We endorse cute things, So. Especially after, was it last week or it was 2 weeks ago that we had a very ranty episode?
Yeah, we were very ranty. So, and it's Christmas time, so we're trying to be cheerful and
it's Hanukkah right now.
Hey,
it is. I'm gonna go have latkes at a friend's house tonight.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go watch the boat parade.
I love the boat parade. Oh, I missed the boat parade.
Yeah, so we're going to ride bikes down to the peninsula tonight and watch the boat parade.
I don't like riding bikes.
Only in California can you ride bikes in the middle of December.
Right? It's crazy. Although we did get more rain last night.
We did, which was exciting, and a little bit of thunder.
I didn't hear any thunder, but I was also listening to my Take That CD really loud, so
that'll do it.
Which is, by the way, my life right now. All that matters. This is the Take That CD. You guys, I don't like buy CDs. The only CDs I buy, otherwise, I mean, I buy music. I just buy it online. The only CDs I buy are Take That and The Killers. And I got my Take That album in the mail all the way from the UK because I ordered it ahead of time that way. And it's my life. So I just want you to know, if you're wondering at any given moment, like, what's Corey doing? It's I'm listening to this album, and I'm reading the liner notes. Anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening in my world, okay? One more Suicide Squad casting note.
Oh, yeah. More.
One more.
One
which
more.
is awesome, actually.
It is actually, well, only because, if it had been anything else, we wouldn't have talked about it. But our girl Viola Davis is going to be Amanda Waller.
Yes.
And we're excited. Well, I'm just excited because I love her. So I want her to be in all the things.
This is, as we've discussed, Viola Davis should be in everything. We discussed that when Donna was here, and I think we've probably discussed it. Donna Johnson.
I think we say it anytime we mention
how to get
away with murder,
or whatever. Viola Davis should be in everything.
Or if we ever mention Kerry Washington or Michelle Obama, that always leads to me talking about Viola Davis.
It's true. That is how it works.
So really, we talk about her often.
Yeah, I think it's perfect because if we recall that the sort of tongue-in-cheek article we read last week, that was like, oh, it should be CCH Pounder or whatever. It might be Oprah instead of CCH Pounder. I think that, like, I love CCH Pounder. I think that Viola Davis can do. It sounds so like, I don't want to be like, oh, CCH Pounder, you know, she's all right, but Viola Davis is way better. But I think she can do equally what CCH Pounder can do with that role, you know? Mm-hmm. I feel good about either one of them playing it. And so Viola Davis just being so amazing and awesome right now.
Well, and she's played similar, like, did you see Night and Day?
I actually didn't, and I heard that was pretty good.
Okay, so I know people have their thing with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I personally really enjoy his movies.
Me too.
And I love that he does all of his own stunts. I think that just really...
Because he's crazy.
Is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Yeah. He's kind of crazy in real life, but I really like his movies. Anyway, so this was the one with Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
And it's really great because it's really funny. Like, he's hysterical. He's really funny in it. It's not what...
He's a funny guy.
He's like a serious spy, but, like, his character's, like, a little goofy.
Right.
Goofy's not even the right word. Anyway, he's just funny. And she plays the CIA, like, director girl lady in that. And she's kind of, you're like, I think you actually might be a bad guy. Like, you don't really like her.
Right.
You know, you're like, yes, she's misinformed about what's going on, but I also think she's just awful. So,
okay.
So she's already kind of played that, like, administrative, like, cult, like, like, you know, I don't know. So I think it's a similar kind, I mean, obviously it's going to be different, but, so I think I don't know, that to say.
Yeah. I'm good with it. Viola.
She's proven herself.
This is like the first thing that's come out of this that we're like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Into it.
Yeah, totally for that. Also, I found out Will Smith was in, oh my God. I was reading something yesterday and it was like talking about it was actually a list of the worst movies of the year. And I don't remember what movie it was, but it mentioned in it like, oh, and Will Smith was in it. And I was like, how bad is this movie that, like, I never saw any promotional material that had Will Smith in it? Like, I did not know he was in a movie this year. You know? Like,
yeah, I don't know what it was.
Super, super weird. I kind of want to Google it because it was just like, I don't know. It was out of nowhere to me. This worst list was actually, sometimes when I read those, I'm like a little indignant. I try not to be that, but like I would never comment and be that person who's like, hey, this was totally better than you thought it was. But sometimes I think, oh, Winter's Tale. The one with Colin Farrell and...
yeah.
And,
he was in, obviously I didn't know he was in that either.
Yeah, he was in Winter's Tale. How does Will Smith end up in Winter's Tale?
I don't know.
That is baffling.
You know what, can I say something that we actually didn't talk about, but it kind of reminded me because I went on to IMDb to look up what movie he could have been in this year.
Yeah.
And it has The Hobbit on here. Did you see that video with, it was the SNL with Martin Freeman doing like The Office, Middle Earth?
Oh my gosh. Did you watch that episode?
I didn't, because I only watch it when people tell me it's good.
Okay, watch the whole episode.
Okay.
Because this is hands down the best. It's been a week.
I've been wasting my time watching a whole one, being like, I'm pissed that I watched it. So anyway, you guys, so Martin Freeman is on SNL, and he does this parody. So it's like The Office, Middle Earth, and so Bobby Moynihan's playing Gandalf, but he's like not
Michael Scott, but what's the name of the
Ricky Gervais's character one, whatever his name is in it, and it's kind of amazing. And what's his face? Taron
Killam is Gollum.
Which is, I don't usually like that guy, but he was really funny.
You don't usually like Taron Killam?
No, not really.
Really?
I don't really like a lot of the cast members. I feel like they're kind of...
see, I think I like the cast. I think just the writing is so terrible.
Maybe that's why. Maybe I should like him. Maybe he's probably really good. And I just
Taron
don't like
Killam
his sketches,
is amazing. His
anyway,
all over.
that was a side note, but you guys should watch it. It's pretty awesome. So
it was so funny, and that episode is just entertaining. And Martin Freeman uses like an American accent in like half the sketches in it, but not always the same American accent, and so it's so good. Like,
okay, I gotta watch it. I'll watch it.
It's just wonderful.
Really?
And yeah, the thing that we have left to do. Before, and I don't want to forget to do this beforehand too. We want to congratulate Luke.
We do.
Luke Otto from South Africa. Luke. Yeah, you good?
I'm done.
Luke was the one who picked out Kristin's slip of referring to Nostradamus as Nicodemus.
I've heard it both ways, Luke, okay? So
Luke, look for a little mail from us soon. As soon as we can get together and put something together. It'll be weird. It's not going to be a good package.
But
don't expect like a PlayStation
mail.
Or something. But mail is fun. So we'll stick some random objects in an envelope and send them over there to you in South Africa. We'll do something like this again someday, and hopefully we can get more fun, goofy packages out to people. Because it's always fun to get mail, not to send mail.
I love to get mail.
Yeah, enjoy that. Let's talk about, Kristin, I was looking earlier today, just Googling idly, like lists of odd Christmas songs.
Ooh.
And I found some.
Okay.
Now, obviously there's the standard ones that are like super weird, but everyone knows them, like Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, or I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas.
Okay.
Have you heard that song?
No.
You've never heard that song? Okay, I thought I was the only one. This is like maybe 4 years ago. I felt like everyone was talking about that song, and it was either their favorite Christmas song or they hated this song.
Okay.
And I had never heard it. I was like, how does everyone know it? So it's like a little girl, and from what I understand, it's like old, like an old song, like maybe the 60s or something like that. But she's like, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. And she sings about like what kind of hippopotamus this is going to be and how cool it's going to be to have a hippopotamus. And
hippopotamuses are kind of mean.
Yeah, I know. Like they kill people.
Yeah. If you get between them and the water, they'll just straight up mow you over. They don't go around you.
This is what I learned on safari, was that the animals you don't want to mess with are hippopotamuses.
Hippopotami?
Hippopotami. Hippopotamusin. Or, like bison.
Bison. Oh, really? I didn't know about I knew the hippopotamus one because I learned the same thing. They were like, so you basically, Disneyland has been right this whole time.
Right. Disneyland was right.
I totally thought Jungle Cruise was pulling our legs, but they are.
I mean, I don't know if they really do the wiggle the ear things that Disneyland claims.
They are right that they're kind of douchey.
Yeah, you don't want to get in their way. So this girl is a little misguided. That's fine. What's kind of funny about that too is that it reminds me of the VeggieTales song. Do you remember the Water Buffalo song? No. Everybody's got a water buffalo. Yours is fast, but mine is slow. Where they got them, I don't know. But everybody's got a water buffalo. No?
Nope. But thanks for singing that.
You're welcome. But you probably also wouldn't want to have a water buffalo as a pet.
I wouldn't.
I'm just saying. But yeah, it's this weird song that had sort of a resurgence, I'd say. I don't know. For some reason, I'd never heard of it before.
Okay.
You'll hear it one of these days on the radio, and you're going to be like,
And then you'll fall into one of those camps.
yes, exactly.
The hate it or love it camp.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I thought was kind of funny was there's 2 different songs, one of which is called Christmas with the Devil, and that's Spinal Tap. So, you know.
Of course it is.
But then there's another one that's called Christmas with Satan, and that's by someone named James Chance.
James, what's the deal, dude?
What's going on? I wouldn't have thought Satanic Christmas would be like a popular genre. Like, I'd think.
Well, maybe it's like Christmas with Satan, and he hates it.
Maybe.
You know, so it's like one of those like, what is it? What was the tagline from Saving Christmas? And he was like, Satan doesn't want you to see this movie.
Right.
so maybe James Chance was taking that route on it.
That's a good call. Yeah.
Like,
that makes
what does Satan
sense.
think of Christmas? Like, oh, he got screwed.
This is actually Satan's response to Kirk Cameron's movie.
Yes.
I think.
Thank you, James, because I was wondering actually. Yeah. So bravo.
But similarly, then there's also a band called Anti-Heroes has a song called All Hail Santa, which I like because I think it's supposed to be sort of a send up to Hail Satan, but instead Santa. But
because if you move the N, right? That's what they always say. Move the N in Santa, it's Satan, whatever.
Do you ever watch Invader Zim? Mm-mm. Invader Zim was a great cartoon, and there was one episode that has this great song in it about Santa being like this powerful robot Santa guy, and it's like, beware, you'll get crushed beneath his jolly boots of doom. Whoa. And yeah, it's pretty great. I would actually recommend looking that up because it's a pretty funny video. But that's what this All Hail now I keep just wanting to say Satan constantly.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard.
This is a problem. Peter Serafinovich
of course, love Pete, good old Pete Serafinovich.
Of Shaun of the Dead, of Running Wild, of what else is he in? Parks and Rec. He's all over the place. Peter Serafinovich. He has a song called "Sexual Christmas Time."
Ew. See, I'm not into that. Okay, you guys, that's just not the place for that kind of thing. Okay. It's just not. It kind of reminds me, there's this one NSYNC song, right, called Under My Tree. And I'm listening to it, right? And it's like, well, we're two become one under my tree. And I'm like, this is awful.
Oh,
NSYNC.
my.
First of all, when I was 12, I was listening to the CD and was totally oblivious until I put it in, when you're an adult. And I'm like, well, this is disgusting.
Well, I mean, don't you have that same thought, though, listening to, like, Santa Baby? Or I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus.
But Santa Baby always kind of creeped me out. Just like the way she sang it was always very creepy to me. And I mean, obviously, Baby It's Cold Outside, we all know is
rapey.
Rapey.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, come on, Pete. I expect more of you.
I haven't heard it though, so it could be really entertaining. Then there's the most depressing Christmas song title in the world. Please, Daddy, don't get drunk this Christmas.
Aww.
That's John Denver, the most uplifting singer there is.
Sounds like John Denver.
Yeah. Doesn't it? Like, John Denver, I don't know if I feel like he's more depressing than he is just because, like, also he died horribly. But I just feel like he's kind of a downer.
He is.
Yeah. And I'll always associate him with Final Destination as well, so... Yeah,
I obviously don't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That AMC or someone has been playing Final Destination 3 a bunch lately. I'm like, it's Christmas.
If you're gonna play one, you're gonna play Die Hard. Everyone knows that's the best Christmas movie in the history of time. People.
Obviously, we're
gonna be real.
Gospel. Well, of course, my favorite is Home Alone, but then just under it would be Die Hard.
Right. I mean, it's the number one Christmas movie.
Yeah. Well, Home Alone though.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a big Home Alone fan.
Yeah. It's a tough battle. It's a tough one to call.
We're split on this one. It's okay. We're gonna still be friends over it, though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna Scott Rudin you right now and totally disown you. I appreciate
that. We have been friends for 8 years.
This is how you want to end it. Do not threaten me. The Kraken has been unleashed. I'm like.
But here is, we'll end on this. Here's my favorite Christmas song name.
Okay.
You son of a bitch. You stole my woman. Now I'm going to burn down your Christmas tree farm.
Who's that by?
That is by a band called Red Swan.
Oh, Red Swan.
Red Swan.
All right. Well, they have anger issues.
I know, but
that's
in a glorious way. That is seriously the best
that sounds
name.
like. That sounds like the makings of a great Hallmark Christmas movie.
Heck yes, it does.
Hey, Hallmark, got an idea for you. Hallmark, nog nog.
Here you go. Red Swan right here.
Red Swan's got a movie for you.
It's true. You don't just put the Electric Fan Cave in the credits for that great idea. So,
you're welcome.
You're welcome. My favorite.
Actually, we would like to have cameos as the firefighters. We have a 5-year-old that would do a great job.
Yes, this is true. My 5-year-old nephew, when he has time, is gonna fight that fire.
Oh god.
My favorite un-Christmas song, though, I just feel like one that I have heard and I love, is Reliant K's "I Hate Christmas Parties."
Oh.
Yeah, so maybe I'll end the audio version of this podcast on that, because that is a delightful un-Christmas song.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yes, Kristin. Christmas is coming next week.
It is. Next week.
It is upon us.
It is upon us. Well, it comes up fast.
It really does. It really does. So, we hope you all have an excellent Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, or just, sit at home and chill time.
Yeah.
In
Christmas break for those students out there.
Yeah, exactly. Winter break, whatever it's called. We hope that you have an excellent one. And we'll be back after the break to bring you more Fan Cave, more guests. We have some cool ones coming after winter break is over. Cool guests in the new year. And we'll make a date for the end of January for us to discuss Cavalier and Clay in the Fan Cave Fiction Club with y'all. We want to give you some extra time to read it because holidays and whatnot, but we look forward to talking about that. So thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure that you rate and review us in the iTunes store if you enjoy listening to us. Tell a friend, spread the love. And make sure you follow us and subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Tumblr, the Electric Feast Facebook, all that jazz, and get in contact any old time. As many of our listeners know, we sure do love to interact, so we want to hear from you more. We know there are more of you out there than are talking to us. We can see you. We can see you.
Just because you're not looking at us doesn't mean we don't see you.
Yeah. Just like Santa Claus. We know what's going on. So we hope to hear from you all soon. Happy holidays, everyone. For the Electric Fan Cave, I'm Corrigan Vaughn.
And I'm Kristin Latterell.
Peace out, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
God bless us, everyone.
Everyone. Papa Jesus. Grace, she passed away 30 years ago. The blessing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Aren't you surprised, Clark? Well, I couldn't wake up tomorrow with my head stapled to the carpet and be more surprised.